Hello and welcome to the Peaceful Plate podcast. I'm your host, Eileen. I'm a certified intuitive eating counselor, certified holistic health coach, and a certified yoga teacher specializing in therapeutic practices for nervous system regulation. And so today I am so stoked. We get to talk about something that is so near and dear to me. And it's actually a practice that I picked up a couple years ago. Before that, I thought this was kind of nonsense and wasn't that important. And just why would I take time to do that? But when my eyes became opened, which is what I'm hoping to do for you today, is to open your eyes around this. When my eyes became open to the importance of this practice, we're going to get to it in a minute. I was like, wow, I had an aha moment. And I was like, man, I need that in my life. And when I started to integrate it into my life, everything became so much easier. And that practice is play. So, no matter what your age is, play is a really important part of your health, your wellness, your overall life satisfaction. So yeah, I mean, I'm 40. I turned 40 this past year at the time of this recording. I turned 40 this past year and I love to play. Play is so important and it's so regulating for our nervous system. And we'll touch on why that is. But there's an obstacle, right? Because both diet culture and hustle culture tell us that there's no time for play, that play is like a waste of time. If we're not productive, if we're not burning calories, if we're not blah, 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 then what's the point of it? And that messaging is coming from both diet culture and hustle culture. If you're not sure what diet culture and hustle culture are, what they are, I'll unpack that just for really quickly for you so you can have a little understanding around that. So diet culture is a system of beliefs that equates moral virtue with the size of our body. So it tells us, hey, the smaller you are, the more worthy you are, which is like a crock of crap, right? It's just not true. But that's the message that comes from diet culture. And so when play comes in, it's like, well, yeah, play counts. And I'm using air quotes. It counts if it's burning calories, but that's not true. Now, sometimes play will naturally burn energy, right? And we're not going to shy away from that. But that's not the reason for the play. And that doesn't dictate the value of the play. So we say, hey, diet culture, that's not true. And so hustle culture is the system of the beliefs that equates our worth with our work, like how much we work, how much we make to constantly be doing. Hustle culture, it has the mindset of rest is for the weak, that we shouldn't rest, right? That's just not something that we should do. And so hustle culture would say there's no time for play. Who has time for that? If you're not making money or you're not somehow becoming better at your work, what's the point of it? And to hustle culture, we'd say, no, thank you. We're not going to follow your ways of thinking, right? Because they're just not true. Play is a very important part of your health and wellness and your overall quality and satisfaction of life. All right. And play also directly impacts your ability to have a resilient and regulated nervous system, which also impacts your quality of life. And if you are working on healing your relationship with food, your body, and exercise, and you've heard any of my messages so far, you'll know that a regulated nervous system is absolutely essential for finding the freedom that you desire. And so I hope that kind of starts to help you open your eyes a little bit around the importance of play and the challenges to being able to play, hustle culture and diet culture coming at us, and but really helps you see no matter what my age is, play is important. And so now I want to talk a little bit about the way that I play, right? Because maybe that'll help you to start to think about it for yourself. So when I first started to think about this concept of play, obviously, kids do it naturally, animals do it naturally. Our nervous systems are actually wired for play. They're wired for play. And when we're little, we do it naturally, right? That's how we explore and learn the world around us. And as we get older, new responsibilities come in, and play isn't as needed as much because we've learned a lot of things, but it's still very much needed. And so as children, we have this natural incline towards it. Animals, you'll see it, right? In animals, they have a natural incline towards it, which is so fun. But then as adults, we start to just stop doing it. Like we just don't do it anymore because we don't feel like we have the time for it, or we feel guilty doing it. And but we still need it. Maybe we don't need to play as much as we did when we were children, but we still need the play in our lives. And so it's really important to know that play is actually a state of mind, right? You can be doing an activity that one would really consider like play. Like it could be anything, right? It could be anything. It could be an actual board game and you could be playing it and you could be like, just, oh, like I don't even want to be here. I don't even want to be doing that. Well, that's not play. You could be playing that same board game and have a silliness about you, like just a lightness, a goofiness, lightheartedness, and it could be just like a whatever Candyland, right? But you just have this silliness and lightness about you. That's play, right? But play is more than like a board game. So play could actually be anything because it's a state of mind. So there are some people that they love the work that they do, right? And it becomes a form of play for them when they show up with that mindset. Maybe you're somebody that like is lucky enough to work outside. I mean, that's like, I just love being outside. So maybe you get to work outside and you get to be in the woods and in nature, and like there's parts of that feel so light and freeing for you. Maybe not all of it, but maybe there's parts of it that just light something up in you. That would be a form of play because again, it's that mindset, it's that lightness, it's that freedom about it. I also like to play with my handstand practice. When I'm doing my handstand practice from that mindset of play, there's no motive behind it other than to have fun. Like falling down is part of the process, like just being silly with myself, being lighthearted, just like having fun, being curious about like, oh, this is cool. Look what my body can do. So there's nothing else behind it besides that, right? And so that's a form of play. That would be much different than showing up to a handstand practice. And I'm not saying this is bad or wrong, right? But and there's been times like I show up to my practice like this, right? Showing up to the practice like, I really want to work on this specific entrance. Like I really want to work on nailing this skill, right? I really want to work at becoming better at this skill. And like if that's my mindset going into it, it's more like pinpoint focus. Now it may not get there, right? And I'm not going to beat myself up if I don't. But if I have that more pinpointed focus, which is totally cool to have at times and important to have at times, that's not the same freedom and lightheartedness as play. So I hope that like draws a little clarity for you. Both are important, but we do need times in which we show up with this playfulness about us. I mean, gosh, play could be anything. So I'm mentioning those things, but you may be like, I don't relate to any of that, Eileen. For you, play may be crafting. Like you may love like just crafting or drawing or, just something like that, right? Something artsy. I'm not naturally inclined to be artsy. I mean, I love that. Like, I wish that I was a little more artsy, but it's not my natural incline. And so it feels like work for me because it would definitely be like trying to like figure it out. But you may have this natural like freedom about it and this lightness when you show up to it. And that feels nurturing and nourishing and playful to you. And so that would be play. Again, play is the mindset and how we show up to things. And so why is this so helpful for our nervous system? And how does it help us regulate our nervous system? So it's important to know that when we play, and again, play is that state of mind, when we play, we're actually able to shift between states. We actually naturally just shift between states with ease because we are in that more relaxed state. We're not white knuckling or gripping anything. So we naturally shift between this sympathetic and a parasympathetic state, right? Both states are working together, right? Both states are on and working together. And we have this gentle shift between states. And that's really important because it actually builds resilience. It helps our nervous system to become resilient because we're in both states and we're naturally shifting between both states. And so what happens is as we play and as we have that mindset and that lightness and we're naturally building that resilience, I'm like shifting my body back and forth, just like that's what comes out, right? When I start talking, and we're naturally shifting between those states and we're building that resilience in our nervous system. We're then able to just have more of that in our life, it becomes easier, right? If we then start to feel, oh, I'm getting a little stuck here, I'm getting a little stressy and a little stuck, it becomes much easier to shift ourselves out of that state and into a more grounded parasympathetic state, right? Because our nervous system holds memory, and our nervous system is going to remember, oh, like, remember when we were playful and we had that lightness about us and we were shifting, between states, and like, we weren't feeling stuck or anything like that. Our nervous system remembers that, and our body keeps the score. If you haven't read that book, I'll put it in the show notes. Really great book. So yeah, so play does that for us. And also, in addition, like if we're talking about our relationship with food, exercise, body, and if you listen to any of the messages I put out, this is kind of a reoccurring theme because it's just that important and it's foundational. Having a resilient nervous system, having a regulated nervous system lays the foundation for us to be able to have body attunement, interoceptive awareness, to be able to practice things like mindful and intuitive eating, to be able to cope with our feelings with kindness rather than always turning to food, to be able to move our bodies from a place of respect and care rather than punishment. So a regulated, resilient nervous system is like the foundation for that. And it doesn't have to be done perfectly. And I'm using air quotes. And I don't want you to think, oh my gosh, to have a regulated nervous system, I have to do this long list of things, Eileen. I don't have time for that. That's actually not true. I share mini practices right here on the Peaceful Plate podcast. Like they're short, right? But if you do them consistently, your nervous system is going to get into a more regulated state. Just trust me on that. They do not have to be long practices that take hours and hours. It just doesn't have to be that way. But yeah, foundational. So I want you to think about having my nervous system be regulated to be able to, not always, because that's not realistic. That's not what we're looking for. But for most of the time, to be able to be grounded, present in that ventral vagal state much of the time. That's what we want, to be able to have that peace, ease, and freedom with food, exercise, and our body. And play starts to help us, because play starts to help our nervous system find that resilience, which is so important to be able to shift between states and not get stuck in a state. And so my message to you is, how can you start to invite more play into your life? And maybe you already are. Maybe there's already things in your life that bring you joy, that you love doing. Can you show up with that mindset that we talked about, right? Play is a state of mind. Can you show up with that mindset of curiosity, of wonder, like a kiddo, right? Like a kiddo, curiosity, wonder. Can you not take yourself so seriously, right? Can you be a little goofy if that feels good to you? That may not be your jam. I'm very goofy. Can you be a little goofy? Can you, just not take yourself so seriously, right? And again, it doesn't have to be all the time, but finding things that you like to do already that you can show up with that state of mind, that lightness. And other thing you could do is start to think about what just sounds fun to me that I have not made time for. Like, what would just be really fun to do? I'll tell you one of the things that I'm really excited about, and this may not be your thing at all. And again, play is very individual. What is play for one person may not feel like play for another person, even though it's a state of mind. Even with that state of mind, if it's something you do not like to do, it likely won't feel enjoyable or playful for you. So it needs to be something you like to do, and then showing up with that state of mind is important. All right, what I'm excited about. I want to do a little winter hike and a winter picnic. Like, I'm just like really stoked about that. We don't have snow right now. I'm in New England, and like we don't have snow right now. So I'm like waiting for the snow. It all melted already, so I'm hoping it comes back. It is January right now, so we'll get more snow. But when we get some snow, I want to like, get some toasty thermoses and like pack warm food and like just do this snowy hike. My like vision, it's probably not going to happen like this. The snow is drifting down. It's like, it's just like super pretty, and the trees are all twinkly with the snow. And it probably will not happen like this, right? But that's okay. And just doing the hike and then getting to the spot and like having this picnic with the warm food and just having a good time. And so that feels light. to me, it feels freeing, it feels refreshing, it feels playful. And to some, it might be like, oh my gosh, like, why the heck do you want to go do that? That's crazy. And that is okay. Again, because play is unique to the individual. We take a holistic approach here on the Peaceful Plate podcast. I'm also a certified holistic health coach. So everything that I talk about, I'm looking through the lens of bio individuality, meaning what feels good and is best for one person may not be best or feel good for another person. And so we want to look at the individual. But to me, that sounds playful, that sounds fun, that sounds nourishing. And it's showing up with that mindset of wonder, that mindset of curiosity, that letting go of perfection, right? The snow may not be drifting down at all, right? And that is okay. And so my encouragement to you and my message is to you, what do you want to do? Like, what little things like, that sounds super fun to do, but I haven't made time for it. And so I'm going to challenge hustle culture. I'm going to challenge diet culture, and I'm going to make time to do this thing. And I'm going to really try my best to show up with that mindset that Eileen talked about on the Peaceful Plate podcast. And I'm just going to get curious about it. What would it be to have this lightness about it, right? To just enjoy myself. And so that is my message for you today on play. And I hope it's helpful for you. But just remember, be so kind to yourself. Nurture and care for your nervous system as you're working on healing your relationship with food, exercise, and your body. It is absolutely foundational. And yeah, I'll let you go now. I hope to connect back next week right here on the Peaceful Plate podcast.